You will never experience success in survival mode. Run that back. You will never experience success being in survival mode. You have to be in the mode of thriving. Okay, so when you come from an environment where you were constantly in survival mode, right? Most people who come from those environments, of course, they want to create a life that is completely different from the one that they grew up in. The problem is because you've never had a true support system, right? Because you've never had stability or everything that you need, and because you've never been in an environment where you learned to have a thriving mentality, you don't know how to create that. What you're actually doing is setting goals of what you believe or what you think is success, and deciding to aim for that. But what's important to realize is that you have to have a mentality of thriving in order to sustain that level of success. If you don't know what's required to obtain whatever goal it is that you are trying to obtain, then you're not going to know how to sustain it either. Say, for instance, you want to be a millionaire, or you want to make $1 million. You know what I'm saying? There are a million ways to make $1 million, right? But is the goal really to make $1 million, or is the goal to be a millionaire? The difference is you have to know the process and the system of a person who makes $1 million in order to be a millionaire. You have to say to yourself, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be the kind of person who makes $1 million. And then you have to ask yourself, what is the process? What are the habits of a person who can make $1 million? Right? That's how you become a millionaire. You don't become a millionaire because you make $1 million. You could have done that being in survival mode, and that's the opposite of the mode that you really want to be in, right? You will never experience success in survival mode. Run that back. You will never experience success being in survival mode. You have to be in the mode of thriving, and that requires you to have all that you need at all times in order for you to thrive. How this applies to me and especially my situation right now is that the reason why I was experiencing burnout is I was constantly in a state of survival mode. And people can say that because I was striving or always trying to reach some level of perceived success, always trying to reach some type of goal, I never was satisfied. I was never content. I was never happy. And so I found myself saying I wanted this job, and then I get the job and I wasn't happy. I wanted to make this kind of money, and I would make this kind of money, and I wasn't happy because I was literally running myself raggedy trying to obtain this goal, and then with no support system, with no process in place that would allow me to thrive at that level. So you really have to focus on the mindset. Like people say that, it starts with your mind, or people's, what do people say? Girl, I don't even know what they be saying. Free your mind and the rest will follow, or, the mind. The mind is very powerful, you know what I'm saying? And this is not even going into like manifestation and scripting and all that stuff, because it really is a mindset, and that comes with the belief that you are already thriving, that you already have the support system that you need in order to achieve long-term success. It's a paradigm shift. And I realized that really anyone who's burnt out is a person who has not adopted the mindset of a thriving individual. You're running your business like a side hustle because you don't have the mindset of a person who has a thriving business. You have the mindset of a person who's in survival mode. You can't have any success with a survival mindset. It will always crash and burn. You will always crash and burn if you are constantly in survival mode. So the way you get out of survival mode is you have to ask yourself, if you could be doing anything in this world right now, what would you be doing right now? What does your dream life look like? And then getting serious about pinpointing what it is that you really, really want. So ask yourself, like, if I were living my dream life, what would I be doing? Where would I live? What kind of car would I drive? What would I wear? What would I eat? What kind of friends would I have? Like, just really start with that. But the core of you asking yourself that, though, is not so just you can dream. It is important for you to dream and like really get focused on what it is that you really want. But once you write down what it is that you really want, what you're doing is, if you currently are living your dream life, or if you feel like you're entering into a space or stage where you are beginning to live your dream life, then you have to ask yourself, what is required for me to sustain this lifestyle? How much does it cost? If you require a king-size bed to sleep in to get optimal rest, then how much does that cost? How much does a king-size bed cost, right? If you require an apartment home or any home that is in a really good neighborhood, that has an elevator, has concierge and a washer and dryer in the unit, and it has hardwood floors, and it has white walls, and it has natural sunlight, and if you require that, and it's in a really good, thriving neighborhood, if that is something that you require in order for you to function at your optimal highest self, write it down. That's what I did. And so even if that's not what your current life is like, what does it take to sustain your lifestyle at this moment? Of course, you might change. You know what I'm saying? You might decide that you want a different kind of life, and then you have to ask yourself, well, how much does it cost to maintain this? And then you have to build a system around your dream life, and a system also around what you will have to become and who you'd have to be and the habits that you have to adapt in whatever function or whatever role or job title that you have. Even if it's a content creator, you have to establish a system of processes that creates for you that support system that you need in order for you to function at your optimal highest self. So, and this is really timely information, especially now with the pandemic, because a lot of us have lost our jobs. A lot of us have, had to scale back our business. If you are a beauty creative, a lot of my friends in Los Angeles work in the beauty industry. A lot of them work in the entertainment industry. You've had to stop producing whatever it is that normally would sustain your lifestyle. And some of them did go into a panic. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important. The way you thrive during a time like this is you have to make sure that at any time, in all things, in all areas, that you have everything you need to continue to thrive, right? So let's take, for example, me, right? It is absolutely a requirement that I have comfortable bed. Sleep is so important. Sleep is important for everybody. But if I don't have adequate rest, not adequate, because adequate is not the same as sufficient. Sufficient and adequate are two different things. in order for me to function at my highest self, I need to have bomb sleep. Okay? So what is required for me in order to get that bomb sleep? Well, for one, my bed got to be comfortable. It got to be mad comfortable. It's a requirement for me to have a king size pillow top mattress. Okay? It's a requirement for me to have 1,500 thread count sheets and comforters. It's a requirement for me to have, a certain type of pillow. And it's a requirement for me to have at least 8 hours of sleep every single night. Every single night. So me getting up, only having 4 hours of sleep, I'm not going to function at my optimal best. You know what I'm saying? And it's absolutely necessary. Think about any of the things that you buy. Everything, electronics, everything you buy has care instructions, and every electronic that you buy, any technology that you have, has a operating manual. What's an operating manual? An operating manual is a detailed document of what is required for that particular thing to function. Your body also has an operating manual. Now, granted, we may not have that operating manual. You may have to go to a doctor, to figure that out. But the body already has its own processes and systems to respond in order to keep the flow of things happening. So in much the same way, in order for you to really have a true support system, you have to design and create your own operating manual. That manual, your operating manual, is a document or describes in detail what is required for you to operate at your highest self. So, and so that's why it's important for you to be solid about what kind of life you want to have, and write down those things in detail, and not just, oh, I want to live in Las Vegas and I want this big ass house in, wherever, whatever. Talk about also the kind of food you want to eat. You know what I'm saying? How often are you getting your nails done? What is the maintenance required to look your best as well? You know what I'm saying? If the Fendi boots is what's going to raise your vibration, then you need to put in there that you require Fendi boots. Once you pinpoint as much as you can in detail what is required for you to have the support that you need to function at your optimal best, then you have to break down how much all of this costs a month. Now, or how much it costs, period. But then once you write down how much it costs to do this, that's how much you have to make every single month in order to sustain your lifestyle, in order for you to function. Granted, you're not going to have to buy a king size pillow top mattress every month. You may not have to buy a brand new camera for YouTube every month. You may not have to buy a brand new MacBook Pro every month, but you might. You know what I'm saying? So the question that you have to ask yourself every single time when you're doing this is, if at any point my laptop were to break, or I lose my computer, or I have to take an emergency flight to wherever you got to go to see family, or there's an opportunity for you to meet, Barack Obama in Hollywood, and you're currently in Florida, do you have right now what you need to take care of that thing at any moment? So, like I said, you're writing down how much all of this stuff costs, but this is what you'd have to make every single month in order for you to have that support system in place, for you to run at your optimal best. So, granted, rent automatically, you got to pay that every month. You know what I'm saying? So if the type of space that you need to have for you to create your best content costs $2,000 a month, or your mortgage payment is, $2,000 or whatever a month, you need to write that down. We know that those things get paid monthly, but your cell phone, if you don't buy it outright, is a monthly payment as well. Or, make all of that a monthly payment. I know that for me, I love eating acai bowls every single day, right? My acai bowls are mad expensive, and I budgeted in how much it would cost for a larger size, because sometimes I do get a larger size. So why don't I go ahead and budget for how much that costs? If I were to eat this every single day a month, how much would it cost for me to be able to sustain that? It's a lot of money, like $500 on acai bowls. It's crazy. But I write all those things down, right? And determine how much it would cost for me to maintain this level of support every single month. And that is what I have to have. And the question that you have to ask yourself is, if at any time something were to break down, at any time something were to get lost or whatever, if you're moving or something happens to your $500 king size mattress every month, do you have the money right now? Do you have what it takes or what's required right now to go and replace it? Right now, not waiting. We're not waiting, because that's survival mode. That's not you thriving. When you're thriving, you can take care of whatever it is that you need to take care of right now. That's how you have to be. And so that's the journey that I'm on. And this coronavirus, which I'm sure has tested everybody's ability to, it's made people think about their life and made people think about what's required for them to live a certain way, so they never have to face something like this again. So that if there is a period of time where you're not working, or or even if you make the decision on yourself that, I want to take off for a year and travel to create content, well, what's required for you to do that? What is required for you to live this kind of life? And you got to keep making that every single month, or else you're not going to be able to sustain that lifestyle. You feel what I'm saying? And what changes can you make right now, today, that would allow you to live that life? So really, you're working backwards on, and the question that you ultimately have to ask yourself is, what kind of person, who do I have to be to make $10,000 a month? If you write down all of the things that are required for you to thrive, and your number is, say, $10,000, that's how much you got to make every month. So the question isn't, okay, well, what can I do to make $10,000 a month? That's where you're going into that survival mode again, because then you're trying to make a goal, and your goal is to make this every single month. And depending on how you feel or not feel, you might do or start out doing this thing that they say can make $10,000 if you follow the X, Y, and Z. But because it doesn't align with who you are, because you haven't really figured out who you needed to be to create a system, you're not going to sustain that. You might get into it and you might make $10,000 this month, but then you might try to do it again and you make you won't make it. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you have in your life, or it has to be scalable. It has to be something that, a system that generates this level of support every single month. This is where systems and processes have to come into place. And the way you find out what systems and processes have to be in place in order for this to happen is you have to really ask yourself, who do I have to become to be fully self-reliant? Who do I have to become? What habits do I need to have in order for me to always have my shit together? You know what I'm saying? What kind of person makes $10,000 a month? You have to become the person who makes that kind of money. You have to become the person who always is self-reliant. You have to become the kind of person who is always, who always has what they need. What does that look like? And that's when you do your research. If you want to be, and that you can get to that level or become that person doing a variety of things. It's really not the title or the job title or, whatever you call yourself that you do or you label yourself that gets you that $10,000 a month. It's about your habits, it's about the processes, and it's about the systems that you use in order to create that. Me labeling myself an entrepreneur and a content creator isn't what's going to make me the $10,000 a month necessary for me to operate at my best, in order for me to have my financial support system in place. That's not what's going to make it. What's going to make me that kind of money to sustain my lifestyle is me becoming the kind of person who always has her shit together. Is me becoming the kind of person who can make $10,000 a month. Is me becoming the kind of person who has good habits. You see what I'm saying? And so right now I'm in the process of